everybody. This morning, we began to execute an order that I issued yesterday at 2:18 to evacuate and evict anybody who was illegally in Duncan Plaza. As many of you who have been following this know, 2 weeks ago, when I was asked about this, I said the time was coming and sent a notice to the individuals exercising their First Amendment rights in Duncan Plaza that they were doing so outside of the course of the law. We have, since the inception of this occupation, which began 62 days ago, been in fairly constant contact with the individuals who were ushering that movement through New Orleans as part of a larger national movement. Last Friday, many of you know because you were here, that I came and said, well, now was the time. After 58 days, it was the appropriate time to begin to reclaim that park for the citizens of New Orleans. I said at that time, and I will say again, that we continue to respect people's First Amendment right to redress their grievances against the government. That is a constitutional right that is important one so that the country can remain strong. But it must be done in a way that is in compliance with reasonable time, manner, and place restrictions. So beginning on Friday, we had individuals from the city who went out to the park and communicated with the individuals out there and told them what our intentions were. We did it again on Saturday, we did it again on Sunday, and then yesterday as well. This morning, however, for those individuals that chose not to leave voluntarily, we asked the police department to go out there and begin to execute on the order that I issued yesterday. They began to do so. I think many of you were able to watch it. I thought it was a display of a very well organized, a well thought out, and now a very well executed plan. And I want to thank Deputy Mayor Sneed. I want to thank the Chief of Police, the Police Department, the Fire Department, EMS, Stacy Horn-Koch, who runs our homeless services, who have been working in the past couple of days to make sure the homeless individuals out there actually have alternatives. From what we know now, there were approximately 150 people and structures in that location. We gave everybody an opportunity to move. We gave them a lot of notice. We told them that if they did not move and they did not take their belongings away, we would have to remove them so that we could begin taking care of the public health risks that have accumulated in the park over time. When some individuals said they would not move, we then told them that if they did not move, they would be subject to arrest. Everybody left the park voluntarily except one individual who insisted on being arrested. My understanding is that he walked out of the park with police officers. He was not carried away, that it was otherwise a very peaceful exercise. So I want to thank all the individuals, including the protesters that were involved, that this thing was handled in a way that I think was an example to the rest of the country. I do believe that there was one individual who had interaction with EMS. I don't have an update on that person right now, but we'll get that for you as well. Again, I want to just reiterate that this was a very well-executed event. It was well-organized. It was well-planned. And I think that our team of individuals worked not only on the eviction part well, but also on making sure that we understood what other needs there were for homeless individuals, and we'll continue to work on that. As you know, last week I announced an initiative to end homelessness in New Orleans. That's a comprehensive effort. It's going to take us some period of time, but we've been working on that for over the past 6 months. So again, this operation was executed well. You see right now that we have a large number of public workers in the park right now cleaning up the park. We have a lot of cleaning up to do. There are a lot of dangerous situations in the park, from electrical outlets to unsanitary conditions. They will get the park back in working order so that the people of New Orleans can enjoy the park that they own. The protesters, to the extent that they want to continue to do that, are welcome to come back and exercise their First Amendment rights in Duncan Plaza in accordance with the law. And that is generally during daylight hours when the park can be secured and protected, and we can make sure that public safety is not at risk. So in any event, I want to, again, thank all of the individuals standing behind me. They've been working on this for a very, very long period of time. Also want to thank the protesters for the way that they conducted themselves out there. You can see from activities like this that took place around the country that this one occurred very, very differently. And so I just want to continue to reiterate that this is about as much notice as anybody is going to get. I think everybody is clear about what the law is. We will execute this law every day without further notice. Everybody is assumed to know what it is now. And we will also do it not only in Duncan Plaza but all over the city. So this is not going to be a rolling event. When people are in parks illegally, we're going to enforce the law. So with that, I want to ask Chief Serpas to say a couple of words and a couple of other folks, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you. Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The police department executed a well-organized plan. I'm incredibly proud of the men and women of the department who, since Friday, have distributed over 478 leaflets and had those personal conversations with Occupy NOLA protesters. This morning when we arrived on the scene, the team executed very well. Almost everybody left the park without any problems except one person who did state very clearly, I would like to be arrested, and he was arrested with no incident and no other actions associated with him. The ability to service the homeless needs was important to our total plan, and we want to thank Stacy and the other members of the government who assisted with the homeless plan. But let me reiterate and make it perfectly clear what the mayor just made clear. There will be enforcement of the laws from this time forward in the parks. The parks are covered by very clear statutes. You are not allowed to build on public spaces. You are not allowed to cook with open flame, and you're not allowed to steal electricity, and those things will be enforced heretofore immediately. 58 days of the protest showed our commitment to the First Amendment and our ability to work with people, but we do have to return the park to the public's use and have done so and will continue to do so. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Sure. All right. Any questions? Be happy to. Yes, ma'am.
This city ordinance has been in place for so long that people can't be in the park between 10:30 p.m. and 6 a.m. setup. Why are you just enforcing it now?
Well, I think everybody acknowledges across the country this was a part of a much larger national movement. And of course, it was really important to make sure that people had a right to exercise their First Amendment rights and then figure out what the limits there were with. I think the better part of wisdom was to let it play out until it became obvious that this can't go on forever. Every city has made a different determination about this, and I don't second guess any other mayor's decision. But for the city of New Orleans, it feels like, this matter has run its course. What began to happen out at the park is it became less a First Amendment exercise than it did an opportunity for anybody who wanted to just to camp out and make a home. So it transformed itself into something else. As these things always, they have different iterations. But it just got to the point where we believed that there was public health at risk, public safety at risk, and that the First Amendment rights were being executed in a way that was not in compliance, and that we could actually have, everybody can have all of what they want. Individuals can now come back into the park and do what they want, say what they want, as long as they follow the law. And we can have public health and safety, and other people in the city who own the park can actually use it as well.
Regret not stopping it sooner?
No, not really. I mean, it's really a judgment call. This is, I think everybody recognizes historically, this is a unique set of circumstances that has really kind of coursed through the country, and every mayor has had the responsibility of not necessarily being involved in the national debate about what the message was, but actually managing the space on the ground. And each one of the mayors around the country has been confronted with this. Some of them have handled it differently. I feel like we timed it very well. I think that the notices that were given were respectful and were clear. I think the amount of time that we gave people to move out was thoughtful. And I think even this morning when we showed up, again, the police officers were instructed to tell the people after 10 specific notices from Friday, I'm now going to ask you to leave. I'm now going to ask you to leave. I'm now going to ask you to leave. If you refuse to leave, unfortunately, we're going to have to arrest you. And as you can see, what it resulted in was almost a complete clean sweep, except for one individual who insisted on being arrested. And so we accommodated his request, and the system worked as it was designed. And now he'll go to court, the judge will hear his case, and then the justice system will then, take precedent.
Mary?
Yes, Mary.
Did the move for a motion coming up in federal court this morning have anything to do with time?
No.
Evan?
Oh, I'm sorry. A lawyer with the National Attorneys Guild said that they weren't supposed to be any kind of enforcement until a federal hearing or something like that.
I don't know what they're talking about, but that's not anything that we would
Well, they're seeking
answer the question.
against you to stop.
Well, they could have done that 58 days ago. Or they could have done it Thursday, or they could have done it Friday, and if a judge would have told us to stop. I will just inform all of you that this matter has been litigated across the country in innumerable courts, and every judge that's looked at any kind of enforcement restrictions have upheld the rights of a city to limit First Amendment expression in a reasonable time, place, and manner, and what we're doing here falls well within that. In the event that a federal judge tells us to do something else, we'll comply with the law. But again, I want to reiterate that the individuals that want to express their First Amendment rights can do so in a very clear, loud way, and can always redress their grievances against the government at a time, place, and manner that's thoughtful, which specifically means that they can come picket City Hall if they want. They can come actually on the steps of City Hall. They don't have to go across the street, to the extent that they have a clear message that they want to communicate to City Hall. If they want to communicate a message to the federal government or to Wall Street, they can do that on the sidewalks in a reasonable time, place, and manner. And so they continue to be welcome to do that. As soon as we finish clearing out the park and we know that it's safe and all of the damage that's been done has been repaired, they're welcome to come back into the park and exercise that right as well.
Brendan, but from
Yes.
a political standpoint, certainly they could have filed for the injunction earlier, but why not wait? You know, literally, it's, I think, 3-4 hours. So why not wait one more day?
Why? I mean, I advised everybody last week a number of different times that we could move at any point in time. I issued the yard yesterday around 2:18, as I recall. And so, I mean, it is what it is. The law is clear, and I don't expect that the judges, I shouldn't as a good lawyer guess what a judge is going to do, but I don't think that's going to
Was
work.
there any moment-
That dog don't hunt.
When you say it ran its course, was there any sort of tipping point or whatnot? And what is your view on the national kind of movement as far as seeing what took place in other cities that informed your decision?
Well, there are I would say a couple different things. First of all, I don't have a comment about the content of the First Amendment speech. I have my personal opinion about it, but that didn't have anything to do with the work that we're doing here. One of the things that we have to do actually on the ground, and we continue to communicate this to Washington, to Congress, to the senators, to the president, as they speak rhetorically about things, that real governing happens on the ground. This is where hope hits the streets, our anxiety hits the streets, and we have to make sure that we maintain safety and order. For the most part, the Occupy Wall Street individuals that we hear, for the most part, kept order, but notwithstanding the fact that they really tried hard. Basically what they did was they completely, a very, very small percentage of people, occupied 99.9% of the park. Did y'all get that? And so we had New Orleans citizens who weren't able to use the park, people who used to walk out there during the day and have lunch. We have employees that work in all of these buildings. That space was a communal space for them. They were shut out of it. They couldn't use it. On top of that, because that space looked like it was basically a free-for-all, you had 4 or 5 different groups of people that came. You saw individuals that claimed to be homeless occupying that. You had a group of kids from all over the country begin to occupy that. It got to be unsafe. There were a number of different fights out there. Last week I said I've witnessed 2 of them myself. And so it got to the point where I concluded that it was the danger and the public health risk outweighed what it was that was going on. And of course we asked, is there a way for everybody to have what they need? And the answer to that is yes. The city can have a safe, open space. Other people from the city can use it, and the individuals who wish to protest can continue to do it in a thoughtful way that's consistent with the law.
Last two, then the mic. Mayor, some people,
Yes.
protesters this morning, said that you were sending mixed messages because you put porta potties out there, you let them stay for 60 days, you went through and shook their hands. Do you have any response for that?
Sure. My messages have always been clear. The fact that I walked out there and told individuals hello is not a mixed message. It was an interesting way to reach out to say, why are you here? What are you doing? What are you thinking about? What's your message? We also wanted to work with them, and so we went out there to continue to talk to them and said to them every time we went out there, you know, this can't go on forever. This has got to come to an end. The porta potties were put out there in an effort to stop them from hurting themselves because they were using an unsanitary process to handle their personal needs, which didn't make any sense. I've been very clear with them. 2 or 3 weeks ago when somebody in here asked me, you know, how long is this going to last? I think I communicated the way we do clearly by being obtuse and saying it's coming to an end soon. Everybody out there knows what that meant. That was like, okay, it's time to get up and go. When that didn't work, what we did was we had a press conference. I stood at this podium, and I think I enunciated with great clarity that the time had come. And I said that it's time now to move. We didn't move immediately. What we did, again, was begin to go out there and to give them pieces of paper that actually said, now is the time to go. We did it on Friday, we did it 3 times on Saturday, we did it 3 times on Sunday, and we did it 3 times yesterday. That is specific clarity. The only thing that we did not tell them specifically was the day that we were going to begin to move. And we told them last week, you should consider that we can come anytime after this press conference, which happened on Friday, ended. That's a lot of notice. And I think that most of the people that have watched this will say that we've bent over backwards to accommodate the interest of all parties, and that the execution of this mission today was done with great sensitivity to the civil rights of American citizens. And I'm really proud of the way the police department and all of our folks handled it. It was well trained, it was well executed, it was well organized, and it was well implemented. And so the final message to them is they're always welcome, reasonably, in time, place, and manner. Love to have them back. They can say whatever it is that they want. And again, continue to tell whatever political message is they think they have for whoever it is that they think has to hear it.
Last question.
Yes.
Last 2 issues, the number of homeless that were involved, and secondly, I know you can't speak to the specifics. What's it like sitting on the jury?
First of all, this would be the 4th jury that I've sat on in the last 7 years. I had jury duty, I believe it was when I was a state representative. And it is an incredibly enlightening, ennobling experience to sit on a jury. And it just started yesterday. I can't speak about the specifics of the case, but I think it's not only everybody's responsibility, but you learn a lot, and it's a very enlightening experience. And I would commend it to the people of New Orleans. If you call to jury duty, please serve, because if people don't serve, the system won't work. And I may have more to say about it later. Thank you. The number of homeless, I'm going to let Stacy address that for you.
Could you say something about the cost of the operation?
The sanitation department cleanup.
Well, I don't know that we know exactly what that is right now, but we'll have those figures for you. There are 54 sanitation workers out there right now. You can obviously see there are a number of different trucks. It is a joint effort between the Downtown Development District, Emergency Medical Services, Department of Park and Parkways, and the Department of Sanitation. And they will be continuing to clean that place up. There are a lot of bad things that happened over there structurally and physically, with electrical wires being run from place to place, a lot of holes in the ground, a lot of structural things that were stuck in the ground. And so they're being very careful, obviously, as they go through that. And we'll give you a total cost of the cleanup when we get there. On the homeless population, I'm going to ask Stacy Horn-Koch to deal with this issue. As you know, her team executed the work that was done under the bridge some time ago and has been out there on a continuous basis, and they've done a terrific job. So, Stacy, thank you so much. Maybe you can come up and give them a quick one on that.
At this point in time, over the last 2 days, we've housed or put into safe shelter and transitional housing 43 people. And our outreach workers have been out there since Friday evening when the mayor made the announcement, working through the weekend, and we're out there early this morning to make sure that none of the homeless were caught up in the sweep, that we were able to move them to the side and bring them to safety.
I know you said 43. How many of that were this morning?
20 this morning, 23 yesterday.
Stacy, could you give us your last name and spelling?
Horn, H-O-R-N, and then K-O-C-H.
Thank you all.
Bye, you guys. Thank you.